Okay, you're all the way up. Okay, well, I thank you all for coming. If we go to the next slide, please. This is what we're going to cover at today's meeting. You'll see this pop up every once in a while, but the first thing I'd like to do is if you all can stand, and let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum? We have a full quorum, I was told. That's great. Moving on, John, next slide, please. I'd like to introduce, first place, the Executive Committee of your RAC. If you people would kindly stand up. This is the Executive Committee. Deanna Cape, who is my Vice President. My name is Ron Sweet. We're on the Executive Committee. Janet Warren, who is the Secretary, and Janice Harris, who is the immediate past President, who like me got extended for, I guess this is the third year now in a row, and so as immediate past President, that is your Executive Committee. Next slide. Past presidents of the room, we do have Janice. Looking around, well, Sarah Chambers, if you're here, if not, we thank you for your service. And Pearl Birnbaum as well. Don't know if you're here or just out enjoying life. You've served your time, and that's okay. Moving on to the next slide. I would like to bring up our Vice President, Deanna Cape, who is going to introduce you to the current list of council members.
Good morning. It's nice to see a big crowd here. I'm going to introduce the RAC reps, and that's the Residents Association Council, and it's a group of elected residents of the Plaza building and GVT, which is Gulfview Terrace, as a communication link between residents and management. And the RAC Council is made up of 14 Plaza RAC reps, 3 GVT reps, and the immediate past president. The council has an executive committee made up of officers selected by the council, and consisting of the president, vice president, and secretary, and the immediate past president. And today, I would like to introduce the Plaza and the GVT RAC reps. They welcome new residents to the floor and or the building if they're in GVT, and provide them with important information which they get from Stephanie, and give that to the new residents when they move in. They also keep the residents of their wings informed about important items. So the RAC reps, when I call your name, if you could come up and stand up in front. Okay, for 1BC is open. We don't have a RAC rep there currently. 1DE is Pam Cummings. 2BC is Alice Aragon. 2DE is Chuck Roth, which I'm not sure if he's here. I don't think so. 3BC is Joyce McCutcheon. 3DE is Carol O'Brien, and I'm not sure that she's here. Okay. 4BC is me, Deanna Cape. 4DE is Al Roberts. 5BC is Jean Nanarella. And 5DE, do we have a rack rep yet for 5DE? Not quite. Okay. 6BC is Ron Carter. 6DE is Sue Schultz. 7BC is Letha Jones. 6DE is Janet Warren. And now for GBT, for buildings 5 and 6, Kathy Bohr. Buildings 7 and 8, Nuri Georges. And buildings 9 and 10, Carolyn Clark. And our other council members is Don Bohr, and he sits on the council as a technical representative and updates the rackrep.org and puts the committee member minutes on the website. And then we have Janice Harris as the past president, and Ron, you know, everybody knows Ron as the president. So these are all your rack reps.
Thank you so much. Can we have the next slide, please? Because we need to move along. I know everybody's anxious to get going. We also have committee chairs. This is a list of your current committee chairs. If you are a committee chair, would you please stand up? Committee chairs, would you please stand up? We thank you so much for all you do. These committees are really the backbone of what we do here. They work with the directors of various departments in ensuring that things run as smoothly as possible. And we'll hear from two of them in a little while. Moving on. Before I make any remarks, you know I like little videos, so please be careful when you buy a car. If you're going to buy a Ferrari, this is what may happen to you. I know we're back in our youth and we want to get those cars, and I've seen a few of them out there in the parking lot, and I wonder how we manage. This kind of looks like a little bit of fun that goes on. As you saw, we have some new rack reps. We're moving along. We've been keeping your website really up to date with all kinds of information. I hope people go online and look at that. One of the interesting things to look at, and I know unfortunately maybe 20% of you do and the rest of you don't, is to look at the minutes of all these committee meetings. You saw those chairs, they provide minutes of their meetings, and if you really want to know what's happening in your community, that's the place to go and look. Some interesting ones would be looking at the Finance Committee, and they're watching over the money that's being spent and what's being done. Or, as you'll hear from Bill Turcotte, the Activities Committee. What do they have planned? What are some of those secrets that maybe you're thinking, what are they doing? It'll all be there. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. I have been working with Angie on, we have a lot of new residents moving in, and we have your rec reps working with the new residents, making them feel welcome. Angie has put some programs in place for that as well. A lot of good things. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because I want to allow some time for our special guest. So what I'd like to do right now is bring up Angie because she has a report that she's going to give, and also maybe introduce special speakers today.
Good morning, everybody. I just have a few quick updates because I know who the real star of today's show is. So I'll start by giving you a sales update. So we're having a really excellent first quarter. The first quarter is typically our biggest challenge when it comes to the selling of apartments, and we have 11 sales for the first quarter. Our budget is 7, so that's amazing. The even better news is that we're only going to have 6 move-outs for the quarter, so that gives us a little net gain for the quarter from an occupancy perspective. We're inching ever closer to that 90% goal. That's our first goal, right? Then it's 95, then it's 100%. So we're very excited about that. Congratulations to the sales team. Some other updates I did mention in the memo this week. That Freedom Plaza resident Wi-Fi network, I want to make sure that everybody is aware of the intent of that Wi-Fi network. It is for residents to be able to connect their cell phones and tablets when they're in common areas of the building. The intent was, and I know some of you can connect to that network while you're in your apartment. And the problem or the challenge with that is when you're attaching a smart TV to that network and streaming television, it brings down the whole network and it makes it really difficult for residents to connect their cell phones to it when they're out and about in the building. So we still do encourage residents to procure their own Wi-Fi services in the apartment through Spectrum or whatever internet provider you are able to use in the apartment. Also, wanted to give you a quick update on the Freedom Plaza Assisted Living as well as the Arbors is having a full renovation this year. So it was actually budgeted and approved for last year, but the whole process of getting it scoped and bid out and picking the contractor and all that good stuff took a lot longer than we anticipated. So the actual renovation is going to start in the month of April. And it is a complete renovation of all common spaces. We're actually going to expand the dining room a little bit in the assisted living building. All new flooring, furniture, lighting, everything. So that's going to be really exciting for the residents there, and we're excited to get that process started. Also, last week, we had a designer, or designers, from the design firm THW here, walking around the Plaza building. We did spend about 3 hours walking the floors, the corridors, all the common spaces of the Plaza building, and they're going to scope out a renovation of the Plaza building for us. And they sort of made a soft commitment of getting that back to us by April 5th. I think that's a little aggressive, but if they do that, that's great. And then once they, and we scoped everything, down to ceiling tiles and lights and flooring, I mean everything. So when we get that design scope back and we see a price from a general contractor, we may have to prioritize a little, but our goal is to do the whole Plaza building. So really excited to get that project underway. Also, some of you may have noticed, some of you may have not, if you pay attention to the postings that we have around the front desk, that we recently completed our required audit from the Office of Insurance Regulation. So the Office of Insurance Regulation, or we call it the OIR, is supposed to audit every community every 3 years. Well, our audit was for 8 years because they were a little behind. So it was really interesting to try to pull 8 years of information together when you went through a change of ownership in there. But we did it, and of course auditors always have to find something, right? But all the details of that audit are posted at the front desk. They were reviewed with the Finance Committee, as well as distributed to Ron and Larry Chambers as the chairman of ROC, and Dennis, who's in the back, is happy to answer any questions you have about that audit. But we did really well. I mean, some of the findings are pretty trivial in my humble opinion. But I'm happy to share the results of that audit with you if you have more questions. So lastly, before I bring up the real star of the show, I wanted to welcome Chef Jamie. I know he's been here a little over a week, or we might be approaching 2 weeks, I'm not sure, but I know Therese is surely really happy to have him here, and I know I am as well. So I'm going to introduce Therese and Chef, and they're going to come up and do a presentation for all of you.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. I can't stop smiling, right? And it's nice to see you all in the dining room this week. I've had the opportunity to actually see the dining room again since Chef Jamie started. We just have a small presentation. I'm going to let Jamie go through his background, and we're going to kind of tag team it a little bit. This is an awfully big crowd, so this is his first time. So let's give it up for Jamie. We're excited he's here.
Oh, thank you. So, just to tell you a little bit about myself.
Next slide. And then put the mic.
Close.
Yes. There you go.
So, just wanted to say thank you again and welcome. I feel super welcome. So, I was born in Newark, New Jersey. Grew up in a Portuguese family where, you know, I was in the kitchen constantly. My grandmother and mother and uncles and stuff, where we were always making all types of Portuguese food. I have an Italian aunt that I was always making great meat sauces, and very reminiscent of the one we served yesterday. So I spent a lot of time in the kitchen, where that kind of just grew that passion for cooking, and always wanted to be in the kitchen creating great stuff. Went to the Army, kind of got into like big batch cooking and more of like the actually working in kitchens there, kind of got my feet wet there. Then after that, I went to culinary school in Philadelphia and kind of just started learning even more the intricate stuff about food there. So after that, spent a little bit of time in New Jersey, and then we came back down to Florida, where I've been working in restaurants there. I did a little stint at Michael's Tasting Room, which is a well-known restaurant up there. And then I had the opportunity to start opening up restaurants and starting them from ground zero, designing kitchens, creating menus depending on the type of restaurants that they were, and had great success with that. Now, moved down here. I have 3 kids, 1 on the way, and my wife needs a little bit of help with that. So we moved closer to her family to kind of, you know, strengthen that support system that she needs. So that's it. That's pretty much my story till right up until now. So these are some pictures of some food I just did at the last restaurant that we created. So I hope to bring some of this stuff and you know, enhance the stuff that you guys have been doing as well. So that's pretty much my story.
Thank you, Chef Jamie. In the first week and a half, Jamie and I have been working very closely together and kind of looking at what we are doing as a community, what we're doing well, what we can enhance, and the players that we have in the back that are putting out all of your food. So we have like a 90-day dining program, which we really want to focus on our recipe standardization to create consistency. One of the biggest complaints that we have is that I had chicken marsala and it was fantastic, and the next time I had it, it tasted different, right? You want to know what you're getting, and you want it to be the same across the board. So recipe standardization is going to take a little bit of time for us to do. As you may or may not be aware, we have a 6-week menu rotation. So what we're going to do is we are going to hold on making any changes to our menus for the next 2 rotations, which is 12 weeks, so we can run through our rotation twice. And we are still going to hold menu chats, but we are going to talk about, and we're going to get into the meat and potatoes, if you will, of you know, the flavor profiles, what you would like to see, things that worked, things that didn't work, and we're going to be really kind of discussing that and getting down to standardizing. That's going to help us to standardize our recipes. We are embarking on a new recipe database, which is gonna be extremely helpful for Chef Jamie and the cooks in the kitchen. And in order to have that, we need to build these recipes. So if anyone has ever written a recipe, which I know a lot of you have, or someone has asked you for a recipe, it's pretty tedious, right? But we have a lot of hands on deck to do it and feel that we can be very, very very successful with this in the next 12 weeks. Some of the things that we are doing is prior to coming to menu chat, we are making a few tweaks to that first rotation on the menu, just from a prep standpoint. So when we get the menu at menu chat, we will not make the changes there. They will already have been done by the team in the kitchen. Starting the week of April 2nd, every Thursday will be International Night, and we're gonna start with Portuguese Night on the 6th. Now, we just ran 2 international nights, Asian and Italian, last night. Thank you. Thank you, Chef Jamie, who executed that perfectly. So we took a break this next week, and week 1 is going to be starting on April 2nd. So we have 6 international themes that were voted on in our menu chat. And menu chats have been growing. Do we have anyone in here that's been going to menu chat? Can I get a, you look at that. So look at how many that we're having now come up. If you don't have to come to every menu chat. You know, come to one if you can try to make it at 1:30 in the auditorium. So, I mean, we really do take into account that, you know, this is your menu, and we want you to help drive that menu and let us know what works and what doesn't work. So those 6 international themes have been kind of voted on in menu chat, and we will move forward with that. On those nights, on Thursdays, it will be just that theme, just as it was last night. If you are not partial to that theme or do not like what's on the menu or have a special dietary restriction, please let us know ahead of time. There are things that we can do to accommodate you. If we give you a suggestion on something we can do to accommodate you and that isn't to your liking, let us know what you would prefer so we can make an enjoyable experience for you. We know that doing these international nights is not gonna make everybody happy, but we wanna try to spice it up a little bit and do some new things in the dining room while we are in this transition period, okay? One of the other things that we just released yesterday was the Easter menu. This is Chef Jamie's menu. I'll let him go through the menu to kind of let you know what is going to be upcoming for the Easter holiday. Please make sure you get your reservations in. The one thing that we did with this menu is we did the composed plates again because it works. We are able to get the items out hot. We're able to get them out in a timely manner on the holidays. So we're just trying to make it an enjoyable experience for all because we normally have a lot of guests as well. So go ahead, Chef Jamie.
Yeah, so I wanted to give you guys a nice little treat for Easter and kind of introduce myself with this is the first actual menu of my stuff. So seafood chowder I'm gonna make here Caesar salad instead of your bottled Caesar dressing. I'm gonna make a nice fresh Caesar salad dressing for that. Gonna start off with lobster ravioli alla vodka, sauteed spinach and fresh basil. I heard everybody liked lamb chops, or a big part of you did, so this is one of the dishes that I just took from one of my restaurants. Lamb chops with mint chimichurri over sun-dried tomato couscous, red wine demi-glaze, and grilled asparagus. It'll have micro cilantro over the top as well. I wanted to play with a little traditional ham for Easter, so I want to do a root beer glazed ham, roasted red bliss potatoes, and southern style green beans. And for a more neutral dish, just tried to do a chicken breast, but just dress it up a little bit, rosemary roasted chicken breast, mashed potatoes, and green beans. The dessert portion of this, another one that I took from the restaurant, was a brown butter cake, peach melba with berry compote, very moist brown butter cake. And then everything goes on top, topped with cinnamon whipped cream. And then we're gonna do sugar-free chocolate turtle brownies with fresh berries. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I think everything on here is good. Thank you.
Next slide. Oh, okay, so we have some upcoming dining projects as well. One is the Walker parking. As y'all have seen, the salad bars are coming out and we're creating a space on both sides of the dining room so we can create a Walker parking area. While, and this will be accessible by residents and for staff as well. We are working through that and are hopeful that that will be completed by mid to end of April. The pub menu and design update, we just submitted, or we're in the final stages of submission for the pub design. And we're going to just give it a little facelift this year, of changing the colors in there, getting new chairs, new bar stools, and we're getting new tables and tabletops. With that, we're also looking at, we're gonna be upgrading all of our glassware and our plateware as well. And then the second part of that is going to come a menu update in the pub. As we've been talking, and last year we kind of started this process, where we will be extending hours in the pub and looking at a secondary menu for in the pub versus the regular dining menu and creating a real pub atmosphere. We did have a pub subcommittee. We're gonna be getting them together again, and we will be going through that process. I'm hoping for Q3 as far as the execution on that, but I need to see if we are going to be able to get our furniture in prior to. So, of course, with vendors these days, you never know. Kitchen tours. We've had a lot of residents ask, when we're going to start up the kitchen tours again. Looking at probably May 1st. I just want to give Jamie some time to get his feet wet and make sure that it's dry so you don't get yours wet when you go in the kitchen. I'm sorry, I thought that was clever. It just came to me. Oh, come on. Am I getting the hook? So the other thing, too, like a kitchen tour is usually done in the morning where you kind of see everybody coming in and preparing. I also am toying with the fact of having a service tour as well, which is in the middle of service. So you can actually see what happens. A lot of residents have asked, how does it work in the kitchen when the ticket comes back? Why did my ticket get lost? Or how does this happen? Or why is it so busy at 5? How can it be that busy? I don't see a lot of residents in the dining room, but we have 6 dining rooms, so you don't see all 6 dining rooms. So I think it would be a good opportunity to maybe, and that'll be like a one-on-one basis. We'll get a sign up for that as well, and we're looking at doing that in June, and I'll get more information out to you as we get closer. Seder and Easter reservations are open right now. Seder, we have over 50. That's going to be a really lovely event, as always, down at the Plaza Club. Rosa does a great job with that event, and Jamie will be helping execute that as well. And Easter reservations, please be sure to get your Easter reservations in. If you're having issues making reservations, please see Pamela or Melly. When you open up the reservations, you do have to scroll down on the side because Easter doesn't just show up, it's actually underneath the 8-top dining seating. So if you're having issues with that, please contact Pamela and Melly, or I can help you with that as well. That's all we have. Chef Jamie, do you have anything else?
No, ma'am.
Well, welcome to the team. We're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Has any questions for Chef Jamie?
Question for you. You showed us a great menu. If we were coming to your restaurant where you worked before, what would that meal typically cost us for that meal?
All those options?
Well,
Or just
for
taking
one
one?
of those dinners.
Like your team.
I'd say the lobster ravioli probably costs you somewhere between $36 to $40.
Just so you have some idea. Questions? Raise your hand. Nobody has a question?
Oh,
Sir. Yes, sir.
My question is, you're going to have a database of menu. Will that help with people finding out things that they're allergic to? In other words, we have people with allergies, but sometimes it's very difficult to find out what's available.
Sure, yeah, it's gonna help a lot with that, and not just that, but the preparation and all that. So yes, with the allergies, it'll definitely help with that.
Great, thank you.
I have a question. I understand the chef was in St. Augustine,
Yes, sir.
which is noted for some very good restaurants. Could you tell us some of those?
Yeah, so the ones I worked at, I was at A1A Works, which was part of the Gordon Biersch Corporation. I was there for 13 years, and then I actually moved out of St. Augustine and went down to Palm Coast, which was, I went and worked at, what's it called? It was Hammock Beach Resort. So I was the banquet chef there. Then bounced back to St. Augustine to go work at Michael's Tasting Room, which is a great restaurant, high-end, great wine selection. And then I opened up St. George Restaurant 2 years ago. That's right on St. George Street. European style food, a little bit on the higher end. And then just recently I opened Refinery Jack's Beach. But there's a lot of great restaurants there. Collage, The Preserved is great. That's has a James Beard award-winning chef. So yeah, there's plenty, and there's a bunch always opening up too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you have any suggestions about reducing the sound level in our dining halls? We have talked about this before, but I wonder if it may even benefit to have some equipment in the ceiling or in the walls to help out reduce the sound level. But you have a procedure to reduce sound levels even at the restaurants you serve.
Do you have anything in your restaurants, or, I think that's what he's asking, I got that last
Yeah.
question.
In a couple restaurants, yeah, we've used like sound panels on the wall to kind of reduce that.
And we are also looking at that as well. When we did our initial walkthrough last week with the designers, we talked a lot about that, and that will come into our capital renovations in 2024-25 when we redesign the dining rooms. Oh, I'm sorry, I have another question.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering why you decreased the times for the in-room pickup from 2:30 to 4 to 3 to 4.
So that wasn't Jamie, that was me, and the team. Not to put you on the spot, buddy. We don't want to run them off for it yet. So we have increased participation in the dining room, and when we opened up with that model of picking up your meals from 2:30 to 4, it was because we were doing well over 115, 120 meals on average every single day. Now we're seeing we have about between 70, 75 residents coming down because we have additional participation in the dining room. So in order to do that, we need to offset a little bit so then we can prepare in a timely manner and we can get everything done. As you notice right now at 2:30, we're really struggling to get open on time, and we're really struggling to get the food out. So it's gonna give us additional time to do that so then we can also prepare for dinner. So as our business changes, our business needs change, we have to make changes to times and opening times to do that.
Tommy, you have a question?
Yes, I do. I was asked to ask this by several people, not just me. I understand when you serve a buffet that we don't take stuff home. But when you all decide how much we get on our dinner plate, and it is more than we can consume at one time, is there any possibility in the future that we can take the remainder of our meal home and enjoy it the next day?
So
So
that's-
last night's field portion was absolutely beautiful, humongous. I didn't have it, but those who had it could not begin to tackle the whole thing. And that happens quite often. And we want to try your new food. And by the way, very welcome. Welcome to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hang in there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so again, it'll be something that I field. The answer right now, the short answer is yes, we will be moving to a program where you can take out. How are we gonna get there? So currently we have one concept in the dining room. You go into every single dining room, you're eating the same thing, and it's open the same hours. So our goal is to create 3 concepts in our one dining complex and be open from 7 to 7. And when we do that, the menus will change, and we will introduce a new way of coming into dining and being able to take your food out. And that the only place that you will not be able to take your food out, and that will always stand, will be the buffet. Because it's, eat what you want in the buffet, so. But that will, as we open up, and we start making some changes to dining, being fully transparent with all of you and Angie and everybody being on board, we will communicate that out.
Okay, last question.
Yes, ma'am.
Would it be possible to keep a salt and pepper shaker on the table?
We're missing salt and pepper shakers on tables? Okay, yeah,
Yes,
got
ma'am.
it, noted.
Now, we have to move on now. I thank you, Shep, for joining us and showing us your
Thank you.
We now have some presentations by our committees every other month when we have these meetings. Our committees report into you. They are your committees serving you as your resident association. I'd first like to bring up Bill Turcott on community activities. Bill has, over the years, served on that committee. I think more years than he wanted to, but he's back there. And he has done a fantastic job. We will not mention last Friday, which you had nothing to do with, I guess. Tickets being mixed up, but made sure you got into the theater anyway, so.
Last time I did this, my wife said I talked too long, so thank you and good night. My friends had a good presentation there. Some friends. Our committee has been named had several names over the years, depending on who owns Freedom Plaza. But I like to use the word activities. It's a general term, and maybe I can explain it a little bit. Freedom Plaza resident programs, I'm reading from our SOP thing here. It says, provides broad and varied activities for all residents. They include social, cultural, spiritual, recreational, fitness, entertainment-oriented activities, and trips. Yeah. So, in other words, it's quite comprehensive, right? And then you see our mission statement. May I have the committee slide, please? Yeah, okay. These are the members of our committee. They work very hard. Are there any of these members here? If so, would you please stand? And one in the back. Very good. Thank you, people. All right. These are RAC members, committee members, okay, who go to a monthly meeting and so on, and have two functions. Right? At that committee meeting, they respond to Susie's inquiry about, okay, tell me about last month. And the last month's activities, how did it go? What was the reaction of people? What suggestions you have for the future in those, that you found out from those activities, And then the second part of our meeting is a meeting to discuss what's coming up and what is the reaction of the people on that committee to the things. So it is a correspondence. It is a sharing of ideas, and this committee brings your interest to that committee, to that department. It's a transition of your wishes and concerns to the department. That's how we basically function. And we get involved in many of activities. Right? And some of these we supervise, or the department supervises, and some of them are completely independent, but we try to support them in any way we can, especially in advertising. If you have an idea about an activity, get to one of these committee members, or get it to Susie, or get it to me, right? And we will discuss it. And there is a procedure. It's a SOP information booklet. This is available for anybody who is interested in trying to do on how it's done, what the procedure is to go about this sort of thing. These are available to every one of you. Okay. Okay. I'm getting old. I might point out that interest, and I've been on this committee quite a while, but the interests have changed. And we said, okay, why? Well, why? Because the people changed. Duh. Right? All right, who lives here today compared to 10 years ago or 15 years ago when Susie came here 15 years ago? Once upon a time, for an example, once upon a time, dancing was very, very popular. Oh, it was a craze. People wanted to, we used to dance up here and so forth, and the community came in, and so it was a big deal, right? Today, there's very, very little interest in dancing. So, these things change, and so we have to change to accommodate what do today's people want. Back to the communication thing again. You communicate what you to these committee members, and maybe we can do it. That's what we're trying to do. Okay. Here's an example of current thinking, and then, as my wife says, you talk long enough. Okay. These are the things that we're currently anticipating we're going to get involved in, or the department is going to get involved in. We had a very successful mystery trip, right? The people who went on that, they spoke very highly of the whole procedure, and the mystery trip was we went someplace and people didn't know where they were going, right? No comment on that, no. I won't go there, okay. But based on the interest that was shown on this thing, we're going to try to do some more in the future. There's a second trip well, first of all, we learned the good things and the bad things about them. One of them was it was a 12-hour trip, and it was a little bit of a challenge, And there was a lot of walking, and that was a challenge, All right, so we know what was negative about it and what was positive about it, so we'll try to, adapt to the next trip won't be so long, all right? It's going to be in June or July. Good. Also, do you remember when we had the COVID activities, which were the musical people out in front of the building and so on, and then they also went down to GBT and did some musical stuff down there in front of GBT. Well, somebody came up with the idea, well, what happened to activities at GBT? Right? We just did one, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, right? Or within the last month. It was very successful. We've got 150 people there, and the people, because it's at GBT doesn't mean people who live in this building can't go. Of course you can. It's open to all the residents, no matter where it is, right? All right, so that was successful, and there's going to be more of that sort of stuff. Cruises are a current interest, but not cruises to the standard old islands south of us and so on and so forth, but cruises on rivers. That seems to be an item that people want to get involved in. And so there will probably be a cruise on the Snake and Columbia Rivers next fall. So you can look forward to that for those of you who like that sort of thing. All right. I guess I want to close with this thought in mind for people. The Department of Activities is made up of Susie, and she's got 3 helpers. She has one 40-hour-a-week clerical, she has one 20-hour-a-week clerical, and then the backbone there is Peggy Burgess, who's been with us since 1992, I think. But Peggy does a wonderful job, but she's only, because of circumstances, only working now about 10 hours a week. Right? That's it. And over the past several months, we've had a vacancy of 40 hours out of those 70 hours. Right? There's been a full-time vacancy there. It has created all kinds of logistical problems. And I thank you for your patience, because some boo-boos have been made, which we can't help. It's a result of the change in personnel, But it's all back to a normal routine now. So we're hoping that things will be smoother in the past, and we won't have, these kinds of situations which people get irritated about. All right. Thank you for your attention, and everybody's wearing red. Okay. All right. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. Any quick questions for Bill before he goes down, sits down? Okay, one question. Who decides what movies to show, Bill?
The movie committee is an independent committee, just like the knitting and the art, and so there are activities that don't come under the supervision of the activities committee, you know, and the movies committee doesn't come. But I have talked with the fellow who's running that thing right now and so on, so, because several of you have expressed different concerns about the movies, and so they will try to adjust. Yeah, they will.
Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. You heard Angie mention things with internet speed. 10 years ago, like Bill said, we didn't even worry about that. We weren't concerned. There weren't that many cell phones, there weren't that many computers in everybody's apartment, there weren't that many Wi-Fis. But over the years here, things have changed. And a couple of years ago, your RAC council decided we needed a technology committee, somebody to help people with the transition from where they were to what they knew. Management introduced some new reservation systems and things for activities committees to sign up for activities and what have you. So we got this technology committee going. They are doing a fabulous job. And I'd like to bring up Tom Hart to talk a little bit about what technology committee has done.
Hello there. My name is Diane Bergman. Oh, excuse me, I am Tom Hart. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, our next slide, please. Okay, basically what we are here is to help you with technology, and especially technology that changes, and also help you to integrate things that will help you in your email, in your watching television, in your communicating to your friends and relatives and families. So, next slide, please. So we have a committee of 15 people, and also if anyone is here as part of the committee, would you please stand? If you're here as our technology committee. So we have some very, very capable people. And also, along the same vein, if you have an interest in helping other residents, one-on-one or one on a small group, and have an interest in technology, please let one of the committee members know. We work with the ROC, that's who basically takes the calls from us for people that need help with that. They put it together in the database and try and get the information out to the committee. And then the committee members, according to a matrix of what their skills are, will respond to that. So in other words, if I'm an Apple person, I really enjoy working with Apple products. So if someone who has a problem with that, then I can decide, yes, I will help that person, or someone else might help that person. If you need help with a printer or television or things like that. We've had very good luck with Spectrum as far as their technical support goes. So they're kind of like the first line of defense on your television and things like that. But there are some simple things that we can help you with. Some of the things that we do, we help you with any electronic devices that you have. We have people that have expertise in Alexa, other types of programs. We also schedule presentations in different areas of technology. We have one coming up next week. We also have workshops and demonstrations about different things. Maybe there's some new things that came out that might help you. Like if you're visually impaired, this might help you. If you're, want to learn how to control your television in a different way, maybe this will help you. Next slide, please. So last year we had 427 service requests. So that's a lot. And we've only been going for like the last 2 years or so. So we have basically found our niche. What our niche is getting requests from you and then responding to those on a one-to-one basis and trying to help you. I mean, we're not always successful, but we will try and stick with it to get it resolved. And if we can't, then we'll try and find someone that can help you do that. We've also had a lot of success on the iPhones and also the Android and Google phones. So we've had presentations on that. Next slide, please. So anyway, what I want to basically say is the ROC office, the Retired Officers Corporation, they're the front lines of your technical requests. So you basically contact them, said, they've got a lot of expertise there too, so they might be able to help you out. But if they can't, then they will put a request out to the rest of the committee, and we'll, talk among ourselves and decide who wants to handle that. So, and they are doing an excellent job, by the way, in tracking our requests. And yes, let's give them some applause. So, and they are also keeping track on, closing out things too. So once we've done it, they close it out or we close it out. But anyway, so there is a process involved, and it's not instantaneous. Next slide, please. So we do have upcoming presentations and workshops. We have one coming next week on the Apple Watch, basically to find out what can the Apple Watch do for me. A lot of you have gotten new ones or have gotten one from a relative or a family member and want to know, what does it do other than tell the time? So we have one coming up next week on March 29th. And also in the weekly, we try and put a little bit of technology tips here and there to kind of help you with some simple things. But the whole idea is we've got a lot of ideas on what will help you work with your technology and also develop new things that you'd like to do. Next slide, please. So, and once again, if you've got an interest in technology, we'd like to hear from you. And the more people we have with more expertise, then the better we can serve you as residents. Next slide, please, Don. So, what questions do you have about the Technology Committee? Yes, Janice. All right, we're bringing a microphone over to you.
I just want to offer my congratulations to Heather in the ROC office for helping me for an hour and 40 minutes trying to get my service from Verizon disconnected and into Consumer Cellular. She is just wonderful. And
I agree. Heather is doing a fantastic job with helping residents. Yes, Stan.
So I would like to thank you so much for these sessions that we've had, teaching us about the iPhone. And Harry Hintz, if he's here, please stand up, Harry. Thank you so much. You've taught us a lot about the iPhone.
Thank you, Harry.
Both of you.
No other questions? Right ahead. Right there.
Good morning. Thank you for all you're doing. Has there been any consideration to looking at the Spectrum contract to include pricing for internet?
Yes, there has. Matter of fact, we discussed that at the meeting yesterday. I wasn't there personally, but that is the one of the topics we're looking at. We would love to have, for residents, to have a choice of Spectrum or something else. We investigated that a few years ago, and they sent out a survey and basically went nowhere. But we would like the residents to have a choice, especially because we're paying about $80 a month for internet service, and not everyone is using it. So if you don't need it, don't use it. So why should you have to pay for it? But we are looking at a less expensive alternative, and that's one of our goals, is to give residents a choice. Spectrum is great on television. They've really done well for us. Their technical support has been great. But, not everyone wants to pay $80 a month for internet service, for Wi-Fi service. So
thank you for all you do. For those who have worked with Carl, you never give up till your problem is solved.
Thank you very much.
Before I go to more questions, a few people have some announcements they'd like to make about up and coming things they need or what. Alice, would you like to come up and, I guess, make for some volunteers?
Okay, I'm up here to beg for some volunteers for bingo. We desperately need some volunteers, whether it's for bingo calling or just to volunteer to help Barbara Kirchner. I have her name and number here if you're here. Don't feel like you are committed to coming every Wednesday. You just let her know when you can volunteer your time, and she will work with you and work that in the schedule. But whatever you can do to help will be greatly appreciated. Also, if you just want to come and play bingo, that's great too. Okay? So if you can volunteer for a bingo caller or to help Barbara Kirchner, that'd be greatly appreciated. And I have her phone number, and I'm going to try to get it in the weekly so that everybody gets it. Bingo meets every Wednesday. They open, starting getting your cards at 6:30. And then begin bingo calling at 7. If we start calling a little bit late, people start getting antsy because people start walking in late, so that doesn't help matters. So if you can get there around 6:30, that would be great. In this room here every Wednesday, okay? The more callers, the more people we get to attend, the bigger the pot is also.
Janet Warren, you mentioned something from the healthcare committee. We got an up-and-coming speaker coming.
Yes, and this really comes from Lisa. She is talking with Amy Gunter to provide a series of sessions about physical therapy with the theme of Let's Get Moving. So hopefully you'll want to attend all of those because it helps us to stay physically fit the way we want to do.
Anybody else have any announcements? With all that, any other questions? Is there going to be continuing educations offered soon? I believe so. I've seen a survey come out, so I assume that's going to come about. Anybody here can give me more information on that? Not today, but just watch your emails. Mike?
Once all the surveys are back and we see what the interest is, and there are enough people for a course, these courses will be set up. You should be hearing something about that within the next couple of weeks. But please, if you have a survey, everyone received one, fill it out and send it in. Thank you.
Anybody else? With all that, one more announcement. We got one more minute.
He caught me on the cuff, so I couldn't think about all these things, but the first presentation by Amy Gunter will be March 28th. And then I want to tell you about a really good opportunity. We have employed Deborah, what's her name? Deborah Baker. Yes, she's an attorney, and she gets a 5-star rating by all of her clients, but she's going to be telling you things that you need to know for end-of-life estate planning. And I know I'm going to be there because I kind of ignored that in my life, thinking I'm going to live forever. But that might be really of interest to you. She's a dynamic speaker, has a lot of information to share. And that is going to be April 25th. So those two things are coming up that I thought maybe you'd be interested in.
With all that, I thank you all for coming. There's probably some, is there any food left in the back of the room there? Yeah. Yep, there's some food left in the back of the room. Please don't leave it. Take it, enjoy it, eat it. Thank you all. See you all in here a couple months from now.